I want to talk about the Come Follow Me reading. So soon I get this great opportunity to attend Institute every week, and then we teach every third week. We share this responsibility with two other couples. So, okay, so this is kind of interesting. I also teach gospel doctrine, but there's two gospel doctrine classes in our ward, and this is crazy. So there's two gospel doctrine, and there's 4 teachers, 2 for each class, and we rotate. So typically, once a month I'll teach, right? Gospel doctrine. But because of different things, the last time I taught was in February. Because of ward conference and state conference in our ward, nothing in March. Okay, nothing in March. I won't teach any in April, and that's because of general conference and Easter. and then sharing the responsibilities, I won't teach until mid-May. So from February to May, I'll teach one time in gospel doctrine, and I don't know if that's how things fall for you guys. I know we're not all on the same schedule, obviously, but it's interesting how inconsistent that at least this Sunday school teaching is of Come Follow Me, and so it's for the home, right? It's for us individually, but Sue teaches primary, and that's every week, and then we both have this. It's with these special needs people. They're just, we call them special friends. They're so awesome. Some it's there's different degrees of special needs, but this is accredited through Weber State, and it's just awesome. So Sue and I are the representatives of our stake for it's a tri-stake calling, if you will. We're the representatives from our stake, and then there's the 2 other representatives that kind of oversee this great responsibility and great blessing of having an activity every other week for these individuals, and then and we don't do the activity because each ward has responsibilities, so they mainly do it. We just kind of, I don't know, but we are in charge of Institute. And one couple in particular, I won't say anybody's names, but they kind of oversee the Institute, but we all get to take our turns, and we go to it every week. So we're kind of on top of it, just because of callings of Come Follow Me, but we would do it anyway because Sue and I love it so much, and sometimes we'll do it together. Usually Sundays we have time because our sacrament's a little bit later, and so we'll usually go over whatever it is together, but we've been studying separately all week, kind of thing. So before I get into a couple of things, I just wanted to make a couple of announcements. One is, okay, the firm foundation. I'm looking at at my screen here. This is April 17th, 18th, and 19th. Okay, and it's at the Salt Lake maybe Community College, SLCC, the Gail Miller campus. It's on 9750 South, 300 West, and it's buildings 2 and 3, Sandy, Utah. So I will be doing a presentation. If anybody's interested, I'll speak to one, or I probably wouldn't do it if nobody's there. But if one person's there, I'll do my presentation. And my son's been helping me. I actually have a PowerPoint. I'll have slides. I'll do it. And I'm actually going to do this on this every once in a while. I'll prepare something where you won't see me, but you'll hear my voice. It's not going to be prepared or scripted, but the slides will be. Some will be photographs, some will be just scriptures. And I'm going to try it out. I have to get a new computer to do that. And so we'll see how this goes. But we did, my son helped me with this presentation. You'll get to meet him as well there. So I will be doing it April 18th at 2:15 to 3:05. That's my window, 2:15 to 3:05. And I'll be in one of the small rooms. They have a big auditorium where the more popular people, which really, I get it. Probably credentialed or more entertaining ones will be there. And it's like I say, it's all 3 days. Mine's the Friday, so it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, April 17th, 18th, and 19th. Okay, and I'll be there April 18th from 2:15 to 3:05. And I'd love to meet you if you have the time. There's a cost to it. Let's see, you can go for tickets. Go to bookofmormonevidence.org, bookofmormonevidence.org. And if I think about it, I'll put a link to that. Sometimes I forget to do that. The other thing is the polygamy conference, the Mormon polygamy conference. We sat by. I mentioned this, but there's so many cool people, and tons of them were drinking Cardio Miracle. I love the product. If you ever want to try it out, we got a discount code. It's good. It creates the nitric oxide in our blood system, oxygen in our blood, for all kinds of benefits, but healing, clarity of mind, just all kinds of things. Now look, might not be the perfect example, but I really feel it's good. And I'd ask the people, well, are you just doing it because you're doing it, or do you really feel like it's helping? And everyone said, yeah, it's good. It helps. It's a good supplement, So anyway, okay, enough of that. Let's talk about some scriptures here. Section 27 has some really interesting things in it, and I wanted to talk about it for a little bit. Some people point to this as the precursor, if you will, to the meeting at Adam-Ondi-Ahman. Some might think it has more to do with the dedication of the Kirtland Temple and the heavenly messengers there, or a combination of both, because it does refer to Peter, James, and John the Baptist, who had already come to them, but it also refers to future visitations. I found this interesting quote in Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith by Joseph Fielding Smith. It's a very very used book in our home. I really enjoy it. But this is a quote from Joseph Smith as recorded. It's on, if you have the Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith, it's the bottom paragraph on page 157. And see, this is what will be nice when I do some of my videos in the future. It's going to be a little while before I do it, but I'm learning how, and I think it'll be good, where I will be able to just throw that right up, and you'll be able to look at it if you're viewing the videos. If not, I'll be reading most of it, okay? And so, okay, here's this quote. It's titled Adam, the Oldest Man. A quote from Joseph Smith, page 157 of Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith. Okay, I'm quoting now. Daniel, in his 7th chapter, speaks of the Ancient of Days. He means the oldest man, our father Adam. Michael, he will call his children together and hold a council with them to prepare them for the coming of the Son of Man. He, Adam, is the father of the human family and presides over the spirits of all men. And all that have had the keys must stand before him in this grand council. This may take place before some of us leave this stage of action. Now, that's a particularly interesting sentence to me. a quote by Joseph Smith. So this Grand Council, Joseph Smith says, this may take place before some of us leave this stage of action. Okay, let me keep reading here. Quoting, the Son of Man stands before him, and there is given him glory and dominion. Adam delivers up his stewardship to Christ, that which was delivered to him as holding the keys of the universe, but retains his standing as the head of the human family. So that's an interesting quote. Now, there's one other one, I think it's right after, that has some interesting things here too. Okay, so this is on page 158. It's the top paragraph of Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith, and I'm quoting now. The spirit of man is not a created being. It existed from eternity and will exist to eternity. Anything created cannot be eternal, and earth, water, etc. had their existence in an elementary state from eternity. Our Savior speaks of children and says, their angels always stand before my Father. Their, T-H-E-I-R, their angels always stand before my Father. The Father called all spirits before him at the creation of man and organized them. He, Adam, in the head, and was told, he, Adam, is the head and was told to multiply. The keys were first given to him, and by him to others. He will have to give an account of his stewardship as they to him. And then it talks about keys given to Peter, James, and John, to Moses, and the priesthood. Anyway, it's pretty interesting, that perspective. But that first paragraph I read, I thought was really, really interesting, because it almost hints that this event will happen during the prophet Joseph Smith's time. I think that's a really strong possibility. Now, I'm not saying I know anything, or that I'm telling you that absolutely this meeting has already occurred. But I think it has. That's my gut. That the meeting at Adam-Ondi-Ahman was with the dispensational prophets, and Joseph Smith received the keys. He received that opportunity, and I think it happened. I don't think we have a record of it necessarily, but this section 27 of the Doctrine and Covenants was very specific about all the different people. And it included some like Michael that we don't really hear about much. And we hear of Abraham, which the Gospel of Abraham we read about in section 110 of the Doctrine and Covenants, but not Abraham specifically. But Abraham's mentioned there. The one that I noticed that isn't, of course we have Elijah and Elias, who, some think is Moses or Noah. Excuse me. And then you have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all three of the patriarchs, which is interesting. So I don't know. But I do think there's a really strong possibility that this happened, and that the concept that we've always been taught is that, it'll be us, it'll be whoever the presiding priesthood is at the time, and we don't know if there's men, women, and children, and da-da-da-da-da. See, I just don't, I don't see that happening. I know that there's thoughts that, we would all connect via the internet and witness this maybe from a temple, or kind of like we've seen temple dedications in our stake center, and that stake center is like dedicated for that purpose, kind of like a satellite temple, so that we can witness the dedication of a temple via satellite or internet. But I really think this took place. That's just my opinion. It's not a game changer or anything. It's just a thought that this meeting with Adam already took place, and section 27 is kind of the indication that this was going to happen. And Joseph Smith, in his quote, this might happen before some of us leave the stage. I love how he quoted or talked about things. Now, there's one verse I wanted to kind of focus on a little bit here, and it's verse 13. So after all these Moroni's mentioned, not that he's a key holder in a sense, but he's the key holder of the stick of Ephraim. Stick of Ephraim has some interesting things. We immediately go to the Book of Mormon, right? Immediately think of the Book of Mormon. I took a class with One for Israel, online class, originating out of Israel. And we talked about this. This is in Ezekiel, right? Stick of Joseph, Ezekiel 37, is that? 37, I think. And the stick of Joseph and the stick of Judah, and they'll become one in thy hand. And we have, from really good sources, this is the Bible and the Book of Mormon. And the stick is like a scroll, and it's rolled up, and it's written on it. The class that I took, they tackled this particular scripture, and their take was a little bit different, but it expanded the meaning of it. So I'm not saying that it replaced, it just expanded. But they talked about a stick as a staff, and the staff was the head of the tribe. So the person leading the tribe, say of Judah, and the person leading the tribe of Ephraim had a staff, and written on that staff was their authority, if you will, or their history in a sense. It was a signal of their authenticity as a tribe and a tribal leader. So they talked about it uniting. It was and both of those staffs become one in thy hand. And Ephraim being the northern kingdom, Judah being the southern kingdom, the staffs, or the sticks would become one in the hand of who? And they said the Messiah, the great Jehovah. He would gather those kingdoms together, and they become one in the hand. Now think of that, folks. That fits our narrative as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it's an added thing more than just Bible, Book of Mormon. Although that's true, and it's legit. This added of the uniting of the kingdoms, and who's it going to be one in the hand? We used to always say, oh, well, I have my quad here, and so that's a fulfillment of prophecy because the sticks are one in thy hand. Thy hand is Jesus. If you look at it in a just a slightly different light, that this is about people and tribes, not just their record, Bible, Book of Mormon. So anyway, that was in actually verse 5 of 27, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. but you know how off track I get here. Okay, verse 13. So we have these lists of names, and then verse 13 is kind of a summary. And I want to tie it in with something that was taught to us by Elder Bateman one time. But and I'll bring this up here in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to read it. Verse 13 of section 27. Okay, I'm quoting here. Unto whom I have committed the keys of my kingdom and a dispensation of the gospel for the last times. So it's already listed all these people, and they've already come in a sense, or they're going to be coming, and that this is for the last dispensation. This certainly would have been done through the prophet Joseph Smith, in my opinion. And for the okay, I'm back to quoting again. And for the fullness of times, in the which I will gather together in one all things, both which are in heaven and which are on earth. Now that sounds a lot like the sealing power, right? Bounding that which is on earth is in heaven, and loosing on earth, and loosing it in heaven. Sounds a lot like the sealing, right? And we've talked about this before. We talk about the sealing as more in this day and age of sealing couples, sealing families, individuals, which is totally legit. But it's much bigger than that, and it's also sealing us mortals to the family of God or the kingdom of heaven. and then that in turn being sealed to us. So we're connected. So heaven and earth, right? And that's kind of what this is talking about, heaven and earth. But I want to focus on one where it says, and I will gather together in one all things. Now, if you go over to section 29, which I can't wait till this will be the next sections that we cover next week. But there's a particular verse in here, and when I was a stake president, we had, if I were guessing, I would say maybe 20 stake presidents. We were in a Relief Society room, and it wasn't like packed, so maybe 25 stake presidents. And Elder Bateman at the time was the Utah. He was a member of the presidency of the 70, and he was over Utah. And we had this, it was, I'm sure, a regional type thing. I remember it was down in Salt Lake, and we were living in Park City. And went to that meeting, and Elder Bateman, who, some of you remember, he was he'd been a president of BYU, and then a general authority. Oh, BYU, they're playing today. Sweet 16. We have a special needs activity during the game, so it will be recorded, but I probably won't be able to resist checking the score through the activity. But it's a distraction, I admit. I get distracted. Okay, so back to this. Elder Bateman, he read us section 29, verse 8, and then he said, this has been revealed through it was President Hinckley at the time. I'm almost certain it was President Hinckley. Could have been President Monson, but I'm pretty sure it was President Hinckley. And he said that they, as a presidency of the 70, they met with the Quorum of the 12, the First Presidency, and they did this on a regular basis, and they discussed this particular scripture, verse 8, and then he was passing it on to us. So I'm going to read it. So section 29, verse 8. Wherefore the decree hath gone forth from the Father, that they shall be gathered in unto one place. Now, I'm going to pause there and go back to, I will gather together in one all things. So he's going to gather all things and all in one, and then he's going to reveal it into one place. Okay, so there's the substance, and then there's the actual place where it's going to happen. And so 27 is one of all things. He's going to gather together one and all things. And 29 is all those things are going to be gathered into one place. So let's keep reading here. Okay, I'm going to start again, verse 8. Wherefore the decree hath gone forth from the Father, that they shall be gathered in unto one place upon the face of this land, to prepare their hearts and be prepared in all things against the day when tribulation and desolation are sent forth upon the wicked. For the hour is nigh, and the day soon at hand, when the earth is ripe, and all the proud, and they that do wickedly, shall be as stubble. And I will burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that the wicked shall not be upon the earth. This is in preparation for the millennial reign. Has to happen. It has to happen. So verse 8, this one place. That one place, Elder Bateman said, from his meeting, the one place is the temple. Okay, this is where we get the concept of Zion, the New Jerusalem, the temple, the one place. In the ordinance thereof is the power of godliness manifest, right? It's where we're taught, it's where we receive, it's where we give. It's this one place, right? Now, a lot of people early on in the church would think of that scripture as being, the saints are asked to gather in Kirtland, or they're asked to gather in Missouri, or they're asked to gather in Nauvoo or Salt Lake City, which is true. But why would they go to those places? to build a temple. Okay, so the temple is the key, right? It's the key. So gather into one place. And that's where we prepare our hearts, to prepare our hearts and be prepared in all things against the day when tribulation and desolation are set forth upon the wicked. So we have heard so much in recent conferences, particularly with President Nelson, of the temple and the blessing and the importance of going to the temple, let the temple go through us. We've heard all those phrases, and really get the idea of listening to the promises that we made, or that God made to us and what we made to him, and become a covenant people. So I really like that. I really like combining section 27 verse 13 and 29 verse 8. And so we get to see all the blessings and all the people that restore certain keys and certain things that all happen. And then that becomes one in all things. And then in the temple is where we get the blessing of all those things that have been restored and revealed, right? Okay, so I thought I think that's a good way to look at that, and not just think that these sections aren't connected, but I think they're totally connected, and I really, really like that. And I made a note at the time in my scriptures, which I still use, that Elder Bateman, said that. And I remember at the time it rang true to me. It just was like, boom, yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. So I think that's all I wanted to cover on this. There's so much. The next chapter, or excuse me, section 28, we have, is it Hiram Page, one of the 8 witnesses who had a stone, and he was like, hey, I can do this too, kind of thing. And it was like, nah, Joseph Smith's my man. This is who you're gonna get my word from, not you, Hiram. But anyway, there's some pretty cool things in that section as well. This is where we start hearing about the New Jerusalem, verse 9 in section 28. And now behold, I say unto you that it is not revealed, and no man knoweth where the city Zion shall be built, but it shall be given hereafter. Behold, I say unto you that it shall be on the borders by the Lamanites. So we're already hearing about, which this would be Jackson County, which was later revealed. So this is where we're hearing about this. Incidentally, I probably shouldn't leak this out, but it's pretty much my topic for the Firm Foundation Conference. What I'll be talking about is the Old Jerusalem and the New Jerusalem. And I think it's a pretty good presentation. I hope it is. And I would love to see you there. Okay. I think that's all I want to talk about right now. Sue was going to join, but she gets these blessings once in a while to be with grandkids, and she snagged that opportunity. So she's with some grandkids right now. She has some comments about the polygamy conference, and has some other awesome insights. And so we'll catch up to her when we can. But I wanted to get this video out when I get a little opportunity. I like to take it. So anyway, God bless. Oh, I do have to say one more thing. Sorry. Big time things heating up in the Middle East. So the Houthis in Yemen, very interesting. So Yemen is where most Book of Mormon scholars think that Lehi left from, and his family, was the coast there of Yemen. So that's kind of interesting, right? And this is what they're doing is blocking the access to the Suez Canal that goes from the Red Sea into the Mediterranean, which is huge disruption, and they're down there by that kind of narrow area there where they can influence the flow there. The Houthis are, and they're sponsored by Iran. So the U.S. military is doing a huge. I mean, they're bringing in the big bombers. They're bringing in all kinds of stuff. The Houthis learned from the Hamas, to, like, if you have everything on the surface, it's going to get destroyed easy. So things go into tunnels. So they've done the tunnel thing as well. The U.S. has given Hamas, the IDF, the Israeli army, the full, you guys go for it. And we'll, you can purchase stuff from us. We'll keep the flow going to eliminate Hamas. So it's heating up. I have these alerts on my phone that I don't know why I did it, but it's like if there's inbound missiles in a certain area of Israel, the people are alerted. Well, anybody can get those alerts. I learned really quick to turn the sound off because it's quite an alarm. But it's for people that live there, really. And so that alarm goes off, they know to get into their bunker, which they all have. And it's just been active the last few days, very active. Most of it is pretty close to Gaza, outside, so fairly close there. But yeah, it's not looking that good there. I think things are really escalating on the U.S. side. Amir Tsafatsi, Behold Israel, I think is his, but he's a great source of instant stuff going on that you can kind of find out if you're interested in that kind of thing. I am very interested. Still hoping to take our tour in November, end of October, first part of November. So that should be an awesome tour. And a lot can happen in a short amount of time in Israel, and you have to just take the opportunities to go when you can. Personally, I'd get on a flight right now and go if I could, if I didn't have some other things going on. But spring and fall, that's the time to go. So, okay, I think that's it. I just wanted to make you aware of that. The news, the regular news just doesn't cover a lot of the stuff. The things that Hamas is doing now, you can just see how fake so much of it is. So the citizens, the quote citizens, they're protesting against Hamas. The citizens are Hamas for the most part. They participated overwhelmingly in the attacks that took place a couple of years ago, October 7th. So now you see these protests in the streets of the citizens of Hamas, or citizens of Gaza, and they're complaining about Hamas. Well, that's probably just to get sympathy and lighten the load a little bit, so Hamas can gather themselves together. And I wouldn't trust that for a minute. But anyway, it's the total destruction of Israel is what these people want. They want Israel eliminated. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, I think that's it. Talk to you soon. Love y'all. Bye-bye.